Okay, so continuing our talk with about dehydration and the effects of it, right? So you see this like kind of sequence here, right? The first sign of being dehydrated while exercising would be muscle cramps, right? So just the tensing up of certain muscle groups. The next one that you're talking about, and this is where you start to run into some potential issues for health, is heat exhaustion. Like you're not in dire straits if you get to heat exhaustion, but you do need to get out of the sun. You need to cool the body off. Cold bottles of water getting dumped on you, ice packs, armpits, around your neck, like some areas where you can like where there's a lot of blood vessels close to the surface, and you can help get your core temperature down quickly, right? So you get to heat exhaustion. Some of the signs, like you're gonna have maybe like clammy skin. When I say clammy, I mean more like pale, right? You'll probably have stopped sweating at this point, right? The body's hot, it's sweat's not evaporating, you're not cooling off, right? So it kind of turns inward to protect itself, right? And if you don't take care of yourself, you can run into something called heat stroke. Now, heat stroke is potentially life-threatening, right? So what ends up happening now is your core temperature's pretty hot, and you're running in danger, like I said, of death. And so all the blood that you have is essentially like just going to the surface of the skin. So we went from being pale to now being pretty red, probably being pretty hot, trying to sweat profusely. Not because that's going to necessarily help us, but the body's trying to cool itself off because it knows it's in danger. And where's that water come from, right? We know sweat's primarily water. Well, it comes from our blood, it comes from the cells, right? So you start to create some issues with your blood, right? So number one, you start getting this like decreased blood volume, right? You have decreased intercellular fluid, right? So the water that's in the cells is now escaping to try to create sweat. So when you have that water leaving the blood, leaving the cells, it starts to decrease the amount of volume of blood that you have, right? So then you run into something called decreased stroke volume. So for every time that your heart beats, it has less blood going out, right? So less way to deliver oxygen and all the vital things that blood does for us. And then you have decreased venous return, right? So as that blood goes out and it's less, it is also going to be less coming back in, right? So what's your body do to combat that? Well, increased heart rate, right? It starts working extremely hard to try to get the blood flowing through and deliver oxygen to these muscles that need it, right? And try to get the blood circulating faster to help cool it off more, right? And then the last thing that happens, and it's already there, is this increased core body temperature. So when you're talking about dehydration effects, like we're really worried about getting into heat stroke. Once you're there, you need medical attention for sure. Probably need it with heat exhaustion, but heat stroke, like I said, I mean, your level of consciousness is extremely low. Again, the ice packs, get them cooled off as quickly as possible. Like anything you can do, like get out of the sun right away, get out of the heat. Those are all like viable efforts to try to cool the body off. But yeah, when you're talking about that and like the risks of not drinking enough water, right, this is really what we're talking about.